All right. That's not only the end of the episode, that's
End
of
of
an
an
arc.
I'm kind of surprised they only spent one core on Heaven's Arena.
Well, yeah, it was very short
Yeah.
in that regard. And I'm kind of glad because, while I don't mind the fight and kind of combat system, power system, exposition and stuff like that, it dragged on a little bit towards the middle.
Yes.
But they went out with a bang.
They did.
They
absolutely
decided,
did.
all right, we're going to pull out all the stops from this arc and have an epic fight.
Yep.
And by having that be the part that goes out, it makes me very, I'd say, hopeful about future arcs.
Yes, and the way they set it up, like, I don't know how much time they're going to spend on Whale Island,
right?
But since they have that next arc that they have sort of set up with the...
yes, they have to go to York New.
Yeah.
York New City.
Exactly, for the auction or whatever it is.
Yeah. And they'll meet up with Karapika
and
Leorio. And also, unintentionally, the Phantom
Hisoka.
Troop.
Right, which includes Hisoka.
Yes.
Even though it doesn't, but it does.
But it does, yeah.
But that makes me really excited to see what they'll do on Whale Island, because that's something that I... like. That
it could be related to his father, you know.
It could be related to his father, and at the very least, it will be very character-centric.
Yes.
Because, I mean, like, what kind of fights are going to happen on Whale Island?
You never know.
You never know.
You never know.
But, and it'll probably be more like not an actual arc, just like, you know, an episode, maybe two. But I'm really excited to see that.
Yeah, that'll be pretty cool. Also, this episode brought the callback of the Hunter's tag.
Yep.
And they brought that back because Hisoka did tell him, when you're able to land a clean
right.
hit on me, then we'll give back the tag. And he's done that, and they understood it, and it was
Yep.
wordless. It was, it was an acknowledgement. And it was funny because Hisoka started moving first, kind of preemptively thinking about that. And then Gon was like, oh, right, I understand. And then he goes up and gives it to him. It's kind of the idea that Hisoka was waiting for that moment.
Right.
Because then afterwards, you notice that he kind of gives up a couple hits intentionally, like, for the purpose of kind of the pleasure of it.
Right.
But once he did that, he realized that he wasn't meant to break Gon yet.
Yeah, or that he didn't want to.
So, well, but I feel like he was saying that it's not that he didn't want to. He wanted to then.
But it's like,
he
it's
realized
not your time.
It's not your time. Yeah, exactly. So it wasn't the right time to do it. Which I think this is the foreshadowing that we've been noticing about how Gon has this kind of darkness about him that's very subtle, but it's definitely there.
It is.
And it's the idea that Hisoka might be the instrument of Gon's loss of innocence, not in the sexual way, but in the idea that he sees Gon as this raw potential, and he's like, oh, I can't wait to unleash that darkness upon the world.
If Gon were basically like, I see it as Gon being like a stained glass window.
Yes.
It's being made.
Yes.
Right? And Hisoka is admiring the stained glass window, you know, but he's not going to throw a rock into it until it's all done.
Until it's all done.
Yeah.
Because then it will be more splendid of a shattering.
Exactly.
The colors will be transcendent and beautiful.
Exactly.
And here's the thing to where I think, like, I understand Hisoka. I think a lot of it could be easily summed up in that he's a really creepy, like, pedophile. Basically. Yeah. But I think that the bit that they're trying to latch onto more with the idea of connecting him to Gon's eventual, like, breaking or what have you, is the idea that Hisoka will succeed in that. And what it is that Hisoka doesn't set himself two goals that he will fail in.
Right. And that's the way that they can make it so that even after he's moved out of the story, kind of like the Joker in The Dark Knight.
Yes.
Even though he's, you know, do you think I'd stake the battle for Gotham's soul
in a fist fight with you?
No, you need to have an ace in the hole. So even after Gon defeats Hisoka, or Hisoka's, you know, been beaten out of the picture, whatever, they will still make him win because he's able to, you know,
because Gon's character has to come to that point.
Right.
He'll probably overcome it, but it'll be the idea that he'll have to be brought to that point for this story arc within the overall arcs of story to make sense.
And he probably still won't ever quite be the same.
Right, and I feel like that's good. I feel like a lot of stories go too far into making their main character an edgelord for the sake of making them, some kind of dark and edgy character.
Right.
But with Hisoka, he's doing it specifically because he enjoys the experience of being near Gon.
Yeah,
especially when
it's
there's
like
some
the
kind of
Joker,
conflict
I think we're destined to do this forever.
Right, but he's not necessarily seeing Gon as an equal yet.
No.
Because I think that's what the Joker sees the Batman as in that regard.
Right.
So it is very different. Also, Hisoka does derive the pleasure from it, so he has his own motivation to continue to be involved in the story, and it's not centered around the fact that he's the main character.
Right, yeah, exactly. It's where... And Hisoka doesn't have some evil plot that he's doing right now. I mean, he probably does with the Phantom Troop and stuff like that. Yeah. But pertaining to Gon, it's a separate thing, which is great. It doesn't have to be something where Hisoka's like, my plan would have succeeded if not for those darn kids, right?
Right, exactly.
Because
they're setting it up as basically he's the instrument of character development in a specific facet for Gon, and it's not plot related in that regard.
I'm an engine of chaos.
Yeah. In the fight in particular, I think they toned back the visuals a little bit for the focus of giving a little bit more exposition about how the fight would go. But one of the things they made a point of was that as a transmuter, he was utilizing some techniques that seemed manipulator in facet. If you think about that.
Well, except I think the reason for that is that so he's a transmuter, which is next to enhancer, but the other one past that is conjurer.
No. So conjurer is below transmuter.
Right. Yeah. So he's transmuter. So he's in between enhancer and conjurer.
Right.
Right. So he's able to. So the thing that he was doing was probably a conjuring thing to actually like do something with his Nen, right? Or
right. I don't think it was.
Or
that.
is conjuring creating just things from Nen, not projecting your own?
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
I think that the transmuting was that he changed it into the elastic substance, which he used then to interact with objects in his environment.
Yes.
But I think the point is that technique is not a strong technique of Hisoka's, because it's primarily a manipulator technique. I would
that's
say.
true. Right. He's using a transmuter thing to do manipulator stuff.
Right. And as such, if Gon was a master, he would have laughed at the idea.
Your technique is useless on me.
Or not useless, but the idea that it's kind of trivial.
That's a good point, because he is using it mainly for unbalancing and stuff like that. That's not where the majority of his style comes from.
Well, yeah, even like Hisoka's strengths come from.
Exactly.
The idea that when we saw him fight Castro, he was utilizing this kind of stretchy gum aura technique in a million different ways, and it basically shows that he might actually be one of those people that is just really good at learning techniques and such, but it seems like he, like Castro, worked hard on developing these manipulator techniques, though, because he still used those with Castro.
And if you think about it, having those different techniques is probably a very good thing if you can do it and keep them secret. Because then it's something that people don't expect, and then they have to try and figure out what you're doing, and by then it might be too late. But in the case of someone like Castro, since he's blabbing about what exactly it is that he's doing, and Hisoka was spending the majority of the first of their fight at the beginning, just
learning,
figuring it out,
observe.
Then it's then he was able to get around it.
Right. That's interesting, though. I like also the idea that he uses his own personality test in order to determine what people's Nen focus is primarily with Huts.
That's probably really helpful, though, because like if you think about it, in a battle, probably the biggest thing would be to figure out like, okay, what exactly is
what am I dealing with?
What am I dealing with?
Yeah. Or who am I dealing with?
Yeah, and if you can figure that out, then
that might give you a little bit of an edge.
That can decide the battle.
It's basically a thing of like, all right, he's an enhancer, so I don't have to worry about him coming at me from range.
Probably not, anyways.
I mean, probably not. At the very least, I know that he's not carrying his fishing pole on him right now.
Yeah.
His speed is quite good. It's like, okay, maybe enhancers actually have a natural kind of a speed thing going on because they're not using their Nen aura techniques primarily with their environment. It's a self-enhancing bit. So he's like, maybe he's at the very least someone like me. He's a transmuter. He is an emitter, or he's maybe even more obvious. He's an enhancer. But also the personality bit I think works kind of.
I was really surprised that Hisoka didn't use any of his cards.
Yeah, I feel like he was taking it easy on Gon, just a little bit.
Probably, because the cards feel like they would have been basically like a killing strike.
Maybe he would have brought them out if the person wasn't an enhancer. It's the idea that he's going to use primarily transmuter-type techniques rather than using the techniques of his
so he can
kind
of juggle Gon around as opposed to trying to go at him like...
Well, no, it's the thing. That's the thing Gon's good at. He's like, Gon, you're an enhancer, so why would I use enhancer techniques against you? Because you'd probably just block them with no problem. It's the idea that I think, like, even though they're all primarily around Hatsu, it's the idea that I feel like Gon's 10 is very strong because he's an enhancer. I don't know if there's a correlation there, but I feel like Gon bringing up potentially some kind of protective barrier outside of 10, I don't know if that's an aspect of Hatsu that you can do.
Yeah, that's probably something we'll have to just see moving forward.
Yeah, probably not. I feel like if I remember the description of Hatsu better, it's that it is the actual application of Nen.
Right,
whereas,
so all the things that they're doing within the hexagon is Hatsu.
Right, but more so that 10 is an application of your aura, not necessarily like...
Your style?
Your style,
yeah. So, okay. That makes sense.
So just the stronger your aura is, the more hits you can take. It's basically like your HP.
Yeah.
And it's also...
It's like a force field.
It's like a force field, yeah. It's kind of Ruby's over-dramatic simplification of a very interesting power system. But in this aspect, that means that Gon's abilities will probably be about how he can just keep going in fights. Like constantly having
they quantified the
Determinator aspect, and I think that's good because he loses fights, right? So we know that he can easily have his 10 broken, but I think if he is then able to utilize his aura to switch around to different techniques between like having not just his 10 active at all times, but then switching into his Zets.
Zetsu, yeah.
It's you don't pronounce the U apparently.
Oh, okay. Zets.
Yeah, just Zets. So that would be where he would basically have his ability to recharge himself in the fight and then switch back to 10 when he's in the defense and seemingly be this unstoppable enhancer. Like, I could see Gon's thing being he just is a predator. He wears you down.
Right, and that's how they've developed him so far. So
yeah, he's basically this animalistic, like, instinctive fighter who just will not stop. He's a beast.
Yeah.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah.
Yep. Perfect. I'm really interested to see then what Killwa's specialization as a transmuter is, because I don't think he's going to do anything similar to
Hisoka, which that'll be cool because it's that whole thing of you learn more from contradictions than you do from not contradictions,
right?
And since Killwa's going to be going with Gon to Whale Island, I can imagine one of the things they'll do there, once Gon's done visiting with Mito, is be like, okay, let's come up with let's just brainstorm and come up with some crazy techniques.
That would be fun if they spent a few episodes or so just focusing on Gon and Killwa learning Nen with themselves.
And since they're adjacent on the hexagon, they could probably help each other out a lot because what one of them is just okay at, the other one's specializing in.
Right. And then they could have some cross-pollination. It might actually help developing just overall Nen abilities by them basically utilizing some cross-skill type stuff. But I think the thing that they're making a point of by having named techniques in this anime in particular is the idea that just because you're a transmuter or an enhancer doesn't mean you'll look anything like another enhancer or transmuter.
Yes, because it seems like all of the techniques that they're using, although the Tiger Fist or whatever was one that they were able to recognize, but for the most part it seems like there'll be techniques that are made up.
Well, not only that they'll necessarily be made up, but the application of these techniques will be different. The idea that someone could be, I don't know, they have some aspect of like a manipulator, and theirs is like magnetism, okay?
Sure.
And there could be other people where they basically have a magnetic nullification field around them, whereas other people are more like Magneto, like pulling things around and things like that.
Right.
So,
and if you think about it, there's probably, since there's the 6 like basic, like points on the hexagon.
Right.
There are probably places where it's like, hey, compendiums of like techniques that people have created using like Nen.
Sure.
Like, okay, like what are some things that people have come up with? And then that's probably where like the Tiger Fist thing came from. It's like, oh, what's an effective like enhancement ability? Oh, okay, this Tiger Fist thing. All right, awesome. I'm going to see if I can figure that out. Maybe throw some new spins on it.
I could see that being a thing where the names of the abilities are determined by the individuals, or maybe they're paying homage to the original creator of the ability. Right. It would be fun to go to some kind of hunter library where they look at like Nen techniques that have been learned throughout time and history and such, and they go, okay, which ones are readily available to the public and are pretty basic, and which ones are like in the restricted section where you have to like be special and flash your hunter license.
I get the feeling all of Nen's stuff will be in the restricted section.
One bit that I don't know if we focused on this, it might have been even in the last episode, but I think it was in the last episode, was all the other people learning Nen and stuff.
That's right, yeah.
We didn't really go into that.
Like Kurapika and Leorio and them.
But them and their techniques,
right?
Since there's a personality test in there, we could almost guess what their what their Nen or Huts type usage is.
Yeah. Well, Kurapika
might be the same as you. Might be a manipulator.
Maybe, but Hisoka's thing was that they tend to be argumentative.
Oh, maybe
so
not.
If anything, that might be Leorio.
Yeah, Leorio could be a manipulator.
Because he is super
also medicine, he wants to help, interact with the human body, and manipulate living things.
That's true.
So maybe he's a manipulator, and then I would say that she... Wow. Kurapika's a he. I know this.
Yeah.
He's probably on the other side of things, but I wouldn't say he's a transmuter, because he's not fickle or dishonest.
Right.
He's not an enhancer.
He's probably
a conjurer.
Yeah, he's probably a conjurer, which is great, because then him, Leorio, and Gon are all equally separate from each other.
That's true.
And more importantly, Kurapika is... But Gon's in the center. He's the main character.
Right.
And then Kurapika and Leorio are on the opposite sides.
On the flanks, yeah.
Yep.
And then also it shows that they're all different from each other.
Right.
Yeah. And then who would be an emitter?
An emitter?
I don't know if we know anyone that's an emitter yet.
Yeah.
I think emitter sounded like one of the coolest ones.
Yeah, that seems like basic like mage stuff. Like if you wanted to shoot a fireball or something, that would be an emitter.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm curious about that one. What did you feel like was kind of being foreshadowed by Wing's like kind of conversation with them about that secret that he learned? Like what do you feel like that was leading to?
I think that has to do with basically application.
So Huts.
Well, no, not just application like Hatsu, but like Huts. But how they basically act in a fight. Because if you think about it, Gon had already shown that he was learning a bit from Hisoka by doing the misdirection and things like that with the floor tile and stuff.
Right.
But Killua, I don't think he's ever had to do stuff like that.
Right, because he's just so good.
Right, because he's just so good, so fast, so whatever. He'll just beat the person.
Right.
And that might be, and I get the feeling it's one of those things where you don't truly understand how important it is until you've sort of learned from experience.
Right, to that point where you hit your limit and you had to adapt naturally on the fly.
Right, or you saw someone else that you should have been able to beat.
Right.
That they do adapt, and then...
That's a good point.
Boom.
Okay. I had no read on what the actual secret was, so maybe my brain was just fried from the awesomeness of the fight. But I'm I'm curious because I feel like it's one of those things as like a little bit of a hook into the next arc.
Right. I think it's not as big of a secret.
It's not as big of a secret as we think. Yeah.
Yeah.
But my brain tells me, but it could be. It could be.
But if it was, then they probably would have made a bigger point of like finding out about it. Like,
well, also the fact that Gon kind of rubbed it in Killa's face in a goofy way, and Kill was like, whatever.
Yeah, it's probably going to be something that he tells him at some point on Whale Island.
Right. Do you feel like we're going to get Kurapika and Leorio in this next arc, or are they going to just go straight from here and time skip to York New?
Yes, but I don't think Whale Island is going to count as an arc. So however much time they spend there, I don't think we're going to get any from them. Well,
sure, but I mean, do you think there's going to be anything in between Whale Island and York New?
I think this next one might be York New.
That would be really cool. I feel like
I forget what the dates were. It might have been in August when they go to York New, and I think they're in the middle of July.
July
right
still.
Yeah,
but I guess travel time is a thing.
Travel time is a thing.
Travel time is a thing, guys. So
and if we're going to Whale Island, then they might just go straight to York.
But my thing is, if we're going to meet the Phantom Troop right after we got the basics of Nen, that can't be a coincidence. We learned not only the basics of Nen, we learned the 6 techniques of Huts.
Right.
So when the
then
Phantom
we're going to
Troop
start getting a whole lot of different cool practical applications.
Users of Nen and Huts in particular.
Exactly.
So one of the things I'm thinking they're going to be doing here is not necessarily setting up some kind of battle, arc necessarily where everyone fights a different member of the Phantom Troop or what have you.
Right, there's too many Phantom Troop members for one.
Right, but what they could do is they could focus on the Phantom Troop from their perspective a little bit and show maybe some things that are their goals and what have you.
Sure.
And then you have Kurapika's story of him wanting his
that'll
vengeance.
be interesting because the whole Phantom Troop is supposed to be there, and I'm not exactly sure how Kurapika will handle that.
Right. So he's smart. He probably won't rush in and do something dumb. But I could see him trying to basically stalk them.
And that is kind of dumb.
There's 13 of them, right?
Yeah. 13 of them, and there's
him.
one of him, and each one of them is probably better than him. So...
Yeah,
but we don't know how much he's trained with the other person.
That's the thing. So. I don't think we should be underestimating anyone in this show.
Except for maybe Leorio right now because he hasn't learned Nen.
Right. But the idea of this show is such that Killua can just walk into your hotel room and point a knife at your head and suddenly, nope, the fight's over.
Leave.
It's over.
Yeah.
Or you could have the main character being constantly beaten down by this rival character who it doesn't matter how much you determinate, to win, you will still lose because he is better than you. You have Zushi, who, way back in the beginning of this arc, we thought, well, this will be kind of a joke, and he just takes every hit like it's nothing because
but then
he knows
now he's still been surpassed because he's 7 or however old he is. And
right, but he was 7 years old is the idea. He was really young, so we shouldn't underestimate him.
Exactly.
In as much that the Phantom Troop is ridiculously cool, I'll bet you the Phantom Troop has their own power-tiered structure of we've got that one emitter character, and they're stupid strong. But it's we have our pretty simple,
enhancer
transmuter or specialist, and it's they're good, but they get hard countered by a million different things or what have you.
Yeah.
So that kind of stuff would be cool to see. The genius behind someone who's a lot smarter than I would say Gon and Killua, i.e. Kurapika, utilizing his knowledge and his tactical awareness of sorts to be able to do a lot more with whatever technique he ends up doing.
I'd really like to see how preparation can come into play too, because
especially if he is a conjurer.
Especially if he's
he is a conjurer and he uses
he
prep
could go
time.
all Hummer on.
That would be cool.
That would be pretty sweet.
That would be pretty legit. I feel like he might end up being a manipulator like you.
I don't think so.
But you think it's Leorio.
I think Leorio's the manipulator.
Okay, I'll go with that. Because Leorio's the manipulator and he's the conjurer.
A lot of the personality type things that Hisoka was attributing to these styles made sense.
They did make sense.
Manipulator was the one that I would say made the least amount of sense.
Well, that's because it's you.
Yeah, that's because it's me. But argumentative doesn't seem to associate as much with manipulating.
No, I think that argumentative means that
they're questioning what's outside of them,
not
so
only
they're more likely to want to change it.
Right. Not only that, but also it's the intellect factor. You
Possibly.
don't necessarily find someone who's argumentative as necessarily being a combative, abrasive personality. It's the person who basically wants to constantly change the state of things outside them.
Well, and that is something
kind
that
of what a manipulator seems like.
Sure, and we have definitely seen that from Leorio, but the reason I was thinking Leorio has to be a manipulator is because that was literally his shtick for the beginning part of the show, is that he was always abrasive, he was always blowing up at people, being like, "What'd you say?"
Well, there's also a bunch of them that he couldn't be.
Exactly.
Like, he is definitely not a specialist. He is definitely not an enhancer. He's
definitely
not a
transmuter.
transmuter.
And I would say he's definitely not a conjurer.
No, I could actually see him being a conjurer, too.
Really?
Because conjurer, he said high-strung. Leorio is definitely high-strung at some points.
Okay.
But the idea is that...
Well, if it's high-strung, then Kurapika doesn't quite seem like a conjurer.
Well, I think actually Kurapika...
Oh,
both seem like conjurers.
In a lot of ways, yeah, Kurapika is very high-strung.
Right.
Red eyes and all that.
Yeah, but also the emitter trait in particular, I feel like is a little bit harder to define as well, specifically with regards to Leorio.
Yeah, I think that when we get our first emitter, it's going to be some kind of like super powerful person, like the head of the Phantom Troop or something like that, or maybe the head of the Phantom Troop's a specialist, and like that's why it's like, okay, he's the charismatic one that can keep them all going and stuff.
I feel like that aspect of it actually should have been like relegated to Hisoka potentially, because I was really curious to see if Hisoka's charisma was something that we were inferring by the rule of cool, or if in this world he's also charismatic. But I feel like they're trying to make the point of, in this world, his off-putting aura makes him anything but charismatic.
Well, right, and that totally would in the real life anyways. Like,
right.
If you saw a clown dude walking around, like, making all these weird faces at 12-year-olds, that would not be a charismatic person.
Okay, good point.
Like,
yeah, I didn't think about that. But I was thinking about the individualistic aspect as well.
The
that's
unattached
true. aspect
the
as well.
unique snowflake. He is definitely that.
You don't need to rub it in my face or something just because I got specialist.
Yeah.
But it'll be cool to see more masters of specifically the ones that we got.
Yeah.
Because then we could see like what that will look
cool
like. But then also seeing people that use techniques that are completely different to what Gon and Killua will end up doing.
Yep.
So good stuff.
It is good stuff.
Looking forward to the next arc. The fight was fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like also Zushi and Wing's connection to them ending here makes sense, because you totally do sometimes just have to say like, all right, bye, you guys have your own goals, and
you don't
we
want
might bump into you again, but we probably won't ever.
Right, you don't want to have a crowd of people that just amass following the main character.
Do you notice
that
though?
Sense.
HunterxHunter doesn't do that.
Nope, they'll meet people and they'll be like, oh hey, you're pretty cool, well I'm gonna go do this thing, but here's my number if you want to call me or whatever.
But that's an aspect of a show where it could be episodic in nature and then it just has to be like that. But this is a linear show that has segmented arcs that do connect to each other relatively well so far. But they're not doing the thing where the main character just brings around this crowd because they're the main character and power of friendship and all that stuff. I feel like I've seen too many shonen where that is used as an excuse to actually have bad character development.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Where they're like, we can't focus on everyone, so we focus on no one.
Of them. Yeah.
So this show, if anything, might go really deep into Gon and Killua, because they'll be, if this trend continues, they will be the primary focus of the story.
That's true.
And that's why the show's so important, is because the power of friendship is focused only on really Gon and Killua, and then it may be every once in a while
it'll shift back to Kurapika and Leorio.
Yeah, it'll have little bits where you'll be like reminded of, oh right, they have that connection with Kurapika. That's fantastic. Oh, of course, Leorio and stuff like that, and maybe new characters as time goes on. But I think it works better in the execution of what HunterxHunter is going for.
Absolutely, yes. It makes the world feel bigger.
It makes the world feel bigger. Well said. Well said. All right, I think that's good enough for now, but if you guys want to watch the next 2 episodes of our HunterxHunter reactions, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon's early access. You can get on that, and also it comes with Discord. You can check out, to discuss stories or what have you with us. And yeah, we'll see you all there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all next time.